the Red Bull Podcast with your host, Bruce Elrich, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
All right, let's get rolling. That's right. Welcome to episode number 1228. Today we've got we're talking a little bit about the industry and safety and where things are going. We've got Fred Fakkema with us, and we're just going to have a show with always with sonar systems and really get into all of the pre-trip inspection, location technology. He's on a number of industry boards. He used to be in law enforcement, and he's been on our show before. And I gotta say, it's always fun talking with Fred. We always have a really good time. Today we're going to talk about where our industry is going in the U.S. and Canada and what can be done better. And of course, inspections have been a part of our rule for a long time. So before we get into that, I'm going to tell you about Wheels Transport. Wheels Transport is a flatbed company out of Hamilton, Ontario. That's right. We got over
All right, everybody on the line. I've got Fred Fakkema. Did I say that right, Fred? Did I say the right last name?
You did.
Oh man, it's like gold today. How are you, buddy? It's been I think 2 years since you were on this show. Holy smokes.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but thanks for having us again. I truly appreciate being on the show and still following you, see what's going on with your podcast and what's happening around the country. So
having fun. We just had Truck World, which is our equivalent of the Mid-America show, not the equivalent of our size, but our industry show, if you will. And it was good. I was doing some broadcasting from there. We have a really tight community up here, which and it's just fun to be at shows, like to see people, and it's like family. I don't go see them at all, but I'll go see my industry friends any day, right?
Right on. That's the great thing about the industry is how tight it is, and it's a tight knit community, and it's been coming from the law enforcement side into the industry. It's been a lot of fun. So and a lot of great people.
So either Zonar said wear the shirt anyway, or you're still with them. So that's a good sign. So bring us up to date. What's been going on with Zonar? They do the they help with the inspections, bring people to the certain areas. To give us the update, tell us what's been going on since you're last on the show.
Yeah, we got to fly the flag a little bit and wear the shirt. So we're keeping busy. As a lot of folks know, we're a fleet management company. We do telematics, so that means we do ELD, we do cameras, we do all the other stuff. For stateside in California, we're working on the CARB requirements, so that way we can actually meet the CARB requirements for clean truck tests while they're on the road actually moving. So that's one of the newer things. We also have upgraded a lot of stuff in our products and solutions across the board. But it always comes back to what we were built on back in the day, 20-something years ago, is our electronic verified inspection report, EVER. That's for pre and post trip inspection. So it seems like I always come back to talking about that because it has such a major influence. And we were talking earlier that, I saw you at the Fleet Safety Council and that you were doing a podcast from there. And what was the topic? Pre-trip inspections. And so I watched a little bit of that and thought, we should talk about it since International Road Check's coming up in May.
Do you know Bud Neller? Do you know Bud Neller who used to work with Kerry with the MTO? Do you know her? Do you know him? He's guys.
I know who he is. I don't know him personally. And I've known Kerry for a very, very, very long time. And you talk about a wealth of knowledge and somebody that knows what's going on in the business is Kerry at CVSA.
So Carrie's not always available because she's with CVSA and obviously in the States and stuff doing her thing. So Bud is kind of our expert that we bring around to a lot of these seminars, and because he was and he's constantly saying, and he said this again this year, things really haven't changed. Like he's been in this industry. I don't know. He was, I think, 30 years as an inspector, an officer at the scales, and now he's consulting in the industry. And I've been in this thing for 40 years, and you've been, and we're still talking about pre-trip inspections like they were new from yesterday, you know. And he was saying the same thing. I mean, our seminar last year was about brakes, lights, and tires. You know, a BLT. That's what they were calling it.
Yeah.
You know, we're still talking about the same basics, and I wonder why, with all the technology in the world, we haven't gotten past that. Why are we still worrying about what our brakes adjustment are by hoping the driver will look at it without something on the dash throwing? Is there anything coming up? What are you guys talking about down in the States as far as that goes? We're still talking pre-trip inspections, apparently.
Well, yeah, I think that that will always be a discussion. Unfortunately, you know, it's human nature always to try to find a shortcut. I mean, it's, you know, it doesn't matter what we do in society. There's always someone's always looking for a shortcut. Sometimes we work harder not to work. So I think, you know, that's part of it. And you know, what we're looking at, you know, we do tire pressure systems and all that stuff for that tire issue, but it's really about, you know, how we can make a difference and you know, just investing the 15 minutes to do a proper pre-trip. You know, that's investing in saving lives and investing in saving your equipment, and you know, and it just takes that 15 minutes. So for us, that's something I'm always talking about. You know, having come from the law enforcement world, you know, I was in charge of the commercial vehicle division for the state of Washington for a number of years. And, you know, so I wasn't actually the one underneath the truck doing the inspections. I had a staff of 240 employees that were doing that. But that's such an important aspect of getting it done and actually having a good safety program within your company, whether you're one truck or 100 trucks. I mean, making sure it's safe before you leave the yard is so important. And you know, so and then you know, for a road check, you know, they're also talking about the controlled substance and alcohol possession and stuff. And I mean, that should be an easy one for us, but it's really not, with all the legalization of everything that's taking place and the impact that's having on the industry as well.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. They've legalized it here. I know it's by state, but here they've got legalized marijuana, but it's still zero tolerance for the transportation industry at large. But people still try to shortcut the system. And now they're starting to do a little more investigation to say, are you really fit? You know, they're changing the testing model to meet, you know, okay, if you smoke something on the weekend, are you okay today now that it's Wednesday? Or are you still under the influence? And it's causing real problems, especially with, I think, the attitude of drivers. Our driving community, the older people, we got it. We realize, you know, this whole driving is life and all of that kind of stuff. It's a lifestyle. The newer people are not getting it. They just see it as a job. They just want the most money for the shortest amount of miles, and you know, not thinking, oh, I'm going to give up, drugs because I like doing it on the weekends, and it's causing. Is that what you guys are talking about? You're part of ATA, and all of these. Is that what they're talking about down in the States too? Are you guys having the same issues that we are?
They are, and you know, yeah, I'm part of ATA's Law Enforcement Advisory Board and do a lot of safety stuff for ATA as well, and a number of the other organizations. But yeah, it's you know, the legalization is really an issue, and then you know, how do you detect and how do you respond to somebody that is over or that is impaired, and you know, and how do you test it, and you know, so all those the hair testing, the blood testing, all that stuff is the conversation. I think that's one of the reasons that is part of International Road Check for CVSA, not speaking for them, but, you know, really reminding carriers to look at their policies and their procedures, what they're doing, a kind of a reminder of, you know, hey, you need to check the drug and alcohol clearance house to make sure that your drivers aren't, you know, prohibited from operating, and even you know, operations in Canada, if they're coming in the US, they should be checking that as well to make sure that driver is not prohibited. And what they are seeing, Bruce, is when someone is caught through a drug test, they're not re-engaging, so they're not coming back to the industry. They just check out. Like you said, they're like, I just want the job, I just want the money. But really the industry is all about professional truck drivers and getting the job done and doing it right. And it's a choice that you make to be there and to do it right. And I think that's what we look for, in drivers, that carriers really look for, is those that want to be that professional driver. And what so many people forget, and what the civilian life forgets about, is who delivers those goods. And there's a lot of great drivers that are out there that make that choice to be professional.
Yeah, I don't smoke or do anything, but my wife and I go to Barbados every year, so it's not like it's not offered once in a while. And I often think, I'm part of the trucking industry. I haven't driven in probably 15, 16 years the last time I turned a wheel professionally. So I don't know why I'm worried about it. It's a mindset. I still consider myself the truck driving community, even though I'm not on the road right now. I'm still doing my thing within the industry, and I kind of have always felt that. I've never, that's why it's still a lifestyle, even though I'm not behind the wheel. It's still a lifestyle doing this. So one thing we're talking about up here is skilled trade. I'm really interested to hear your opinion. Are they talking about that at all, of turning the truck driving into a skilled trade? Training has been a big topic down here. It's not getting better right now. We've got a lot of schools that came in, especially since the pandemic, and we probably have 200 schools just in Ontario. 100 or more of them are probably fly-by-night schools. So we've got a problem which is creeping in. What's your thoughts on turning it into skilled trades, like an electrician or something along that line?
Yeah, I think that's great. And, there's the FMCSA passed the rule for entry-level driver training requirements. So it is the talk of what needs to be done and how to do it right, but really what they're teaching them and how they're doing it is a requirement that needs to be set in place, not only for Canada, but also US. It should be, it should be the same across the board, but training is paramount. And why not do it at the vocational schools? And we have some of that in the States. There's a really good one here in Washington State. And actually there's a program right now that started here in Washington State. They're trying to get high schoolers to learn about truck driving and be part of that and start their CDL program. So training is so important. And, again, and I'll harp on the law enforcement history, but what does law enforcement do? They train, and you train for that instance that might occur, that you make the right choices and do the right things. Driving is the same thing. You train to do it right. And I think certainly the training aspect of it. And I think you did a podcast on some of the training councils as well up there, right?
We've been talking a ton about it. I'm part of a couple of the training associations I work closely with. And I think especially for the people that are coming in now who are not just the vested truck driver, my dad did it, my grandpa did it, so I got to turn wheel, that kind of thing. Right. They are coming from not knowing anything about our industry, seeing it as a viable way to have a job. How do we show them that career path? And I think a lot of it is having those certificates along, actually using the training, but having certificates to show your career path. And so here's someone who has gone from driver, taken extra courses, maybe, are now fit for enforcement or something like that, to show that level. Whereas right now you come in, I've got 40 years, in the industry, and other than a couple good letters from people I've changed tires for and some courses I've taken, there's not really a lot in my file to show 40 years of experience in this trucking industry. And I've been there since I was 17 years old.
Yeah, and then that's kind of how it used to be, right? Is you learned on the fly, you learn on the job training is really how it was. And obviously today that's not happening very often anymore, So you kind of got to get the drivers while they're young, or you got to get them out of the experience that they've obtained in the military or something of that nature. And I think that's a great path to go. Even a young man, my son's in the Army. He's actually in transportation, started out as a truck driver in the Army, and he's been in almost 20 years. But, he's still going to be a young man when he's able to retire. You can bring in a 40-year-old that can really make a difference in your company that's retired from the military or they choose to leave the military early. And so that's another aspect of it. But also looking at the high schools and showing what trucking is. they think you just drive down the road and that's it. They don't understand there's a lot of technology that's in a truck now as well. And that kind of relates to that younger industry too. I mean, our companies, that's what we do is technology, the aftermarket product to make you more efficient and get the job done a lot better. And that's something that they could work with and understand. So I really think getting them at a young age is really important. And then they understand the requirements too, like, the drug and alcohol aspect of it that's taking place today.
Yeah. Are you a fan of having drivers on the road at 18? What's Washington's take on that? I don't even know what different.
It's for interstate trucking. It's still 21, and you can drive within the state at 18, but there's a weight level, obviously. But I am a fan of it, and one of the biggest reasons I'm a fan of it is I was in the Army when I was 18 years old. If I can go down range at 18 years old, why can't I get trained and drive a truck, right? And the same thing. I mean, my son served in Afghanistan and Iraq. If he can do that as an 18-year-old and 20-year-old, why can't he drive across interstate lines? It's silly, especially on the East Coast. I mean, Canada's a lot bigger when you go up north, but when you're on the East Coast, it's a lot closer as well. Why can't we cross borders? Why can't we cross provinces or states? It just doesn't make any sense that if they're trained, why can't they do it?
Yeah, and I'm one of those too, right? I started out and I was driving at 18. I had straight truck for a couple of years, and I got my tractor trailer license at 20. But I started as a mover, just a lumber in the industry. So I go, what's the problem? We may have done some silly things. I think of the way that we carried on back then. Yes, we probably could have, but there was no training in the moving industry. Hey, they just gave you the truck. You didn't actually have to learn anything. Like I didn't go to. So I mean, now it's different. A person would have to take that training, which sets them up properly for the future. I think with the training we've got now, and capture some of those kids. There's a lot of kids in school that are not going to be accountants or financial experts or whatever it might be, or doctors, right? We need some truck drivers in there for sure. Listen, Zonar, what's you guys are people taking you up? Is that catching on now to do the inspections? Part of our Fleet Safety Council, the first part of it was, what's the issues? And we had, the carrier and a trainer and all that on there. And then the next part of that, the second half, I'm not sure if you watched that video, was how do we solve it? A lot of it was paying the person to do it, so the highway drivers are doing it quick because they're not getting paid anyway. Hey, just let me kick a tire and get out of there. Whereas when they switched it to hourly pay, people are taking their time, because a good pre-trip inspections take them 30 minutes. What are you guys doing? Your product is exactly what people need to make sure they've hit all those points.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so you kind of have an option with us, and so obviously we have a one platform, a tablet, that serves as the ELD and other things, driver flow and workflow and all that stuff. But it also has a near field inspection. So when they put the tag around the vehicle, they can inspect what's required for that each zone, and each zone is date and timestamp. So how long they're spending. Did they really lift the hood up? Did they really check the tire? You pretty much know what's going on. And then once it's inspected, it goes and they cradle that tablet in the dock. It automatically goes back to the back office for your maintenance and stuff. But it gets the driver out of the seat. The other aspect is we now have Ever Mobile, which is on a cell phone. So if that fits their work a lot better, you don't even have to have tags. You can just do it without the tags, but walk around and do it. So we give you that option. But it really gets the driver out and actually looks at the vehicle to make sure it's safe before you drive. And so that's that was really what we were built upon. It used to be old Billy Club. We called it the 2010, and we called it 2010 when Zonar first started because FMCSA had 0 deaths by 2010 back in the day, and so they called it the 2010 because it does reduce the possibility of fatalities or collisions on the roadway, because you're making sure your vehicle's safe before you leave the roadway or before you
Yeah. So one of the issues that we have, and I don't know if we still have it, but the ELDs have now got someone supposed, and I think yours would take it away, but someone actually doing their inspection. But now they're going back in the truck and they're boom, boom, boom. They're not putting out. And this is one of the problems we've got here is because, and Bud brought it up. He said old drivers like myself were trained or at least told nothing's wrong with your truck. Nothing's ever wrong with the truck, right? It's always satisfied. Just check mark it and go. Yeah. And they're saying that's actually hurting because there's no follow-up or maintenance. And they actually, the correct way is to actually say, yes, the taillight was out. I had it fixed. So there's a reporting. Does yours, how do they do it? They fill in at the end, or is it automatic? I think you just said it was kind of automatic the way it happened.
Well, they do check the box electronically, but they need to walk around and scan the tags. If they don't scan the tags, could they check the box? Certainly, but then you would know that they're just checking a box and not actually getting out of the cab and doing it because it's date and time stamped. And then we also have the ability to take a photograph on the tablet and assign that to the DVR as well, so sometimes drivers get upset because the maintenance guy doesn't know what you're talking about. Right. There's this, there's that. We'll take a picture of it, and then that really kind of solves that problem. So yeah, the electronic verified inspection report really narrows that down. So it gives you a date and time stamp of what the driver doing and how the driver is doing it, and makes it much simpler as well. And you're right. There's it's the old pencil whipping of a old DVR, and now they're really computer whipping, right? They're just checking a box and not doing it right. And it comes back down to training and what you expect as a carrier from your drivers, or as an owner operator. Do you care about your vehicle and getting down the roadway safe? I mean, and not getting pulled over, and what leads after that, But the important part is when you do the pre-trip, when you come back and do the post trip and you log in the next day, you can see that post trip immediately, and you accept that post trip right there, know that it's been done, and now you can rock and roll, where you don't have that ability on a piece of paper as well.
It's funny you mentioned the terminology, because that was one of the issues we have here, more on the testing side, that it's gotten to a point where you must call fasteners fast. You must use specific words when you're testing, and they're failing people. If you call it a lug nut or whatever, it's not what the ministry wants to hear. They're failing people. And Bud was alluding to that, basically take a picture is, it used to be a point where we could say, we know we're talking about the wheel fastener here. It's gotten kind of hard I'm glad I'm not getting my license today, because I'm not sure. Are you still having issues with wheel offs and stuff? Is that an issue in the States? It's still a big issue here, even people checking their
It is. What always amazes me too about the wheel offs is a flat tire as well. Is how do you not know your tire's flat? I mean, but yes, there's still issues where the wheels are coming. They're not checking the lug nuts. They're not taking. And we go back to the simple basics of making sure your vehicle is safe to drive. And if you don't do it for everybody else, at least do it for yourself so you get home safe, right? But yeah, there is the wheels off, and it was funny that you mentioned difference in terminology and what's taking place when RoadCheck came out with tractor protection and anti-bleed back systems was going to be one of the things. I was like, man, I don't remember what that is. I have to think about that for a minute, right? Because it's been so long. I mean, again, anybody that knows me, I wasn't the hands-on guy doing the inspection. I oversaw the program, but yeah, I still was out there with the guys doing the inspections and stuff. But it's like, okay, what is that? And then you take a look at it, and how important is that to make sure that braking system is working appropriately and doesn't have air leaks and everything going on, especially if you have a detached trailer that takes place. So there's those things that they have to do to get done to be safe, and if you don't do it for yourself, you then do it for everybody else.
Is Zonar working on anything for the future as far as taking away some of those items? Like, you and I are still talking about wheel offs and brake adjustments, pre-trips. You've got some fancy technology there. Are you guys looking at that and going, you know what? Nobody else is trying to solve this problem. We're going to solve it, through the technology of Are they talking about brake adjustments? Is there a way I can look at it without actually crawling in? Because I know everybody says crawl under the truck or look under the truck, but you're putting fairings on the side of the truck now. I don't know about you, but here in Canada at 3 a.m. a dark night, lots of snow, nobody's crawling under a truck. Even if they say they are, they're not. They're lying. So
they're lying, especially when it's 0 degrees out.
Yeah. So is there any technology that I can see through that from sitting in the dash to say, just it does it for cars? I know it's not 100% reliable, but it gives you an idea at least that you could say, yep, there's the adjustments.
Yeah, the OEMs are putting that type of technology in the vehicle, but tying it with the trailer is a little bit difficult as well. So, we have the tire pressure systems and that sort of thing to manage the trailer tires. But as you mentioned, there's a lot of technology out there that does great things. But it doesn't always fit for that current operation that they're doing. And so our stuff is configurable to your business, to you, how it fits into what you do. So certainly with our EVA program, we can customize it to what's important for you and really what do you see what's wrong, and then use that as a training resource to fix that going down the road. So it's customizable and it can be done, but not into the specifics of are all my brakes working properly. And I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we'll get there one day, but that will be on the OEMs to get there.
I hope so. Before we make a technology to take the guys out of the truck, why don't we try to make their job as easy as possible so everybody's doing it correctly, and then we can talk about what's our next steps. We seem to be figuring out stuff that I don't know. It's like, well, okay, to solve the problem, let's take the driver out of the truck. No, let's figure out how to make it so the driver's job is as easy as possible and can focus on, but he knows he's going down the road with a safe vehicle. I think that's where we need to kind of get back to training.
Well, and I was at a conference last week, and there was a slide that went up that talked about, this was for the American trucking side, but it's $1 trillion market. $1 trillion, and we hire over 8 million American workers, and you add Canada to that, you're talking about a lot of money, a lot of investment in the workforce, and then they spend 14 billion a year on safety type of products. That's a lot out there that you would think that we could get to a point where it's a lot simpler for the driver.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we do try to do is, everything that we develop and the solutions that we do, does it make it simpler for the driver? Will it help you retain drivers? Can we make things better? That's always the first, and then safety. And that was the easy transition for me to come to work for Zonar 14 years ago after being in law enforcement. It's really about the safety and the safety of the roadways.
Yeah, and I would love to get to a point where someone, even if they don't look at the truck, they press a button on the thing and it tells them everything. They have a pop-up thing that says, sorry, that breaks out of adjustment. It won't let you start the truck. Like, if we can get to that, I think it's a lot safer going down the road. I don't know when that's going to be.
We do predictive maintenance, so we'll let you know when there's a fault code and if you can continue driving or you should pull over, and you do stuff like that. We do fuel analytics and stuff like that, but we're not quite to like you're flipping switches to start an airplane or something and everything's a go. But I did see that they were doing a flying car nowadays and stuff. Like, you never know when we're going to get there, right?
I got to go back and watch those old Jetson episodes because that's exactly where we're going. Oh, Larry, so much fun talking with you. Where should we go? Is there any new places you want people to follow Zonar and find out about new products?
You can find Zonar at zonarsystems.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter at Compliance. So yeah, we're here. Happy to help, and look forward to coming on another show with you and having another discussion. And remind your listeners, International Road Check is May 14th through 16th. Right. We always advertise it, and everybody still gets it wrong. And there's always like 20% of the vehicles are placed out of service. And come on, people, do your pre-trip and have Zonar help you. Get this shit right.
I say the same thing. It's actually publicized. Everybody knows a year in advance when it's coming. It used to be June, I think, but they usually did the same 3 days. I know some of my customers up here, my advertisers, they actually do their own pre-trip mini enforcement right before the trucks leave the yard that week to make sure everything's up. But it's still funny. They find stuff and guys don't know. And I go, this is so easy. Like they tell you when it's not like the old days.
Yeah.
When we go smoke.
How do you not know? Don't drink and drive and don't smoke and drive and be smart about it. Everybody's lives depends on it.
Right. Put down those devices. I had to add one. I don't want you to be the wealth of information for everything there.
That's right.
Thank you, my friend. It's been absolutely great talking with you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet, man. Take care.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.